Hey everybody, it's Amy Head with New Perspectives for Life in Marietta, Georgia. Today is Monday, August 11th, 2014. Yes, it is a Monday. I don't normally film these videos on Mondays, but last week was so hectic with back to school. Our county, our school system went back to school last week, and it was just nuts, just getting back on track and getting back on schedule. I wasn't quite in the office as much as I usually am during the week because of school starting back, although I was in, but it was at weird hours. So anyway, it has just been kind of crazy, and I know other school systems are still, in Georgia here, are still starting back this week, and then other folks, some of y'all won't even be starting for a couple more weeks, maybe not even until after Labor Day. But this is definitely a busy time of year. So last week was the first week since March, since doing these video blogs, that I missed filming, and it was so hard to not come in here maybe at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night and film this, but I waited and I figured I would just film it today and then maybe film another one later this week to kind of get back on track. So I hope you've had a great week and a half or so. I've missed sharing some time with you, and I'm glad to have this time with you to share today. I thought I would just talk briefly about a couple of things that have come up in some of the sessions that I have actually been in the office for the last week and a half. And this topic kind of focuses around communication. It has come up a lot that I'll get this question from a parent or from somebody in a spouse relationship, or maybe a colleague situation. I'll have somebody ask me something like, do you think I should say blah 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 to this person? Or, well, what do you think about if I let them know how I feel and I said blah blah blah? So it's basically, I've got people asking me if they should or shouldn't say something to another person. Now you can already kind of hypothesize that if somebody is asking and inquiring about whether or not they should say something to someone else, then they're already thinking maybe they shouldn't, because if it's something good or decent or something nice that someone would like to hear, we probably usually don't question that. So this is probably something maybe either controversial, or that might spark a debate, or that might be difficult to say or difficult for someone to hear. And this is the kind of thing that people are asking me, do you think I should say this to them when I'm in the conversation with them, when we're talking about this topic? Should I say XYZ? I always think that's an interesting question, because generally what that means is not should I say it, but I want to say it. I just don't know if it's the best thing, or if it will be heard well, or if the person will respond to what I'm saying or to what I think they should do. So usually when someone says to me, should I say this? The first thought I have in my head is, well, it sounds like you want to say that. So sometimes I'll say that. I'll say, well, let's talk about that. You know, it kind of sounds like you want to say that. Do you want to say that, or are you kind of deciding if you want to say that? Usually they'll say, oh, I want to say it. I just don't know if I should. So then my next question is, well, you know, I definitely can see why you would feel that way based on what things that you've told me. What would be the goal in saying that to that person? What would be your goal in saying what you're not sure you should or shouldn't say? That is a really important question, and I think something very important for all of us as we think about our communication. What is our goal in saying what we say to other people? Because that really helps determine whether or not we should or shouldn't say it, or how we say it. So for example, if let's say you know, you're trying to get your child to recognize that they're not making the best decisions. Maybe it's a teenager and you don't like who they're hanging around with, and you're trying to get them to not hang around with those kids anymore. So maybe you are trying to decide if you should say, I don't think it's a good idea for you to hang out with them. I don't really like that you're doing that. Well, chances are you really want to say that. It's what you believe. But you're questioning it because if you say it, will that put a wedge, an even further wedge between you and your child? Will that make your teenager want to be with those kids more, just kind of despite you or whatever? That's where the should or shouldn't comes in. So I guess then the question is, what's the goal? What do you really want to happen by saying that? If the goal is self-driven, well, I want them to not hang out with those kids. It's probably not going to be effective because we can't control unless we just dump all our parental controls on and really, really create resistance. It's probably not going to come out that they do just what we want them to do because we say it. If the goal is something more along the lines of, I'm just concerned and worried and I want to just let them know that I just feel like this isn't really in their best interest, that's different. Because then we can look at, okay, let's look at what you want to say and let's look at how to say it more effectively so that maybe even if it doesn't change who they're hanging out with right away, they will receive it, hear it, and think about it. So instead of saying something like what you want to say, which is, I don't like those kids, I don't think you should be hanging around with them, they're no good for you, they're up to no good, maybe instead, with the goal being that you want your teenager to recognize that these kids might not be the best for them, maybe instead to say something like, I just been noticing that, it doesn't seem like they're the same kind of kids that you always hung out with before. Not that that's bad or wrong, it's just different, and I'm just concerned about that because before you've always been motivated, your friends have always been motivated, y'all have always built each other up and help lead each other towards your goals, and I just don't see this happening here. You're still the same person, but I don't see that happening with these as your friends now. That's a little bit different because you're not saying do not see these kids and do not be friends with them, although that's what you want to say, but what you're saying is I care about you. And I'm just a little concerned that this isn't following in the steps of the path that you've usually chosen to take. That's a lot different. That almost sounds, even though you're confronting a situation, it almost sounds more supportive than combative. So when you're looking at if you should or shouldn't say something to someone, think about to yourself, okay, what would be my goal in saying this? What do I really want to get out of this? If that goal is self-driven, where you want your agenda to take place, it's probably not going to happen that way. If your goal is for the betterment of the other person and that you're concern and compassion for the other person, then we can tweak that a little bit and get the best result for what you want to say. I hope that's helpful today as you're thinking about your communications this week with other people. There's going to be a lot of stuff happen. There's going to be a lot that you'll want to say, and then some of it you may question if you should or shouldn't say. But this way you can think about what would be the goal and can I really get that goal met by saying it? If the answer is probably not, then either maybe don't say it that way, look to say it another way. If the answer is, yeah, probably that would work, then go for it. Hope you have a great day today. Thanks again for joining me, Amy Head, New Perspectives for Life in Marietta, Georgia, and I will probably see you a little bit later towards the end of the week. Thanks so much.